Imagine putting poison in your eyes before leaving the house, swallowing arsenic to brighten your complexion, covering your face in makeup that slowly poisoned your body. It sounds unbelievable, but for centuries, these weren't accidents, they were beauty routines. Throughout history, people have risked blindness, disfigurement, and even death to meet society's beauty standards. And while today's trends may seem safer, they raise an unsettling question. How far are we willing to go in the pursuit of beauty? Welcome to the Velvet Archive, where we uncover fascinating stories behind beauty, fashion, art, history, internet culture, and a little bit of crime. Today's episode. Beauty has never been just about appearances. For thousands of years, it has been tied to wealth, social class, power, and identity. In ancient Egypt, elaborate cosmetics signaled status and carried religious meaning. During the Renaissance, pale skin became associated with wealth because it suggested a life spent indoors rather than working in the sun. But we all know a little bit of sun is good for you. Wear your sunscreen, everybody. Every era created its own ideal, and people often went to extraordinary lengths to achieve it. The pressure to fit those ideals wasn't so different from today. While social media now shapes trends overnight, earlier societies relied on royalty, artists, and cultural expectations to define beauty. We all know these beauty trends pop up overnight. We see it with social media. It's become prominent in the last, 20 years. It used to be in magazines. It used to be in television commercials. That's how everybody desire, their beauty in the movies. I mean, we've just evolved. Now it's at our fingertips. In Renaissance Italy, women sought large, luminous eyes because they were considered irresistibly attractive. To achieve that look, some used drops made of belladonna, also known as the deadly nightshade. The plant temporarily dilated the pupils, creating a dramatic effect that artists often associated with romance and elegance. But the cost could be severe. Repeated use could cause blurred vision, extreme sensitivity to light, permanent eye damage, and in larger amounts, poisoning. The very feature that was considered beautiful also carried the risk of blindness. And nowadays we have ways to make your eyes pop, whether it be certain colors, certain ways that you do your eyeliner, that you do, the effects. I can't do effects like that very well. I do not have that skill. But another trend that came about was the tattooing of the whites of your eyes. To give kind of that dark, mysterious look that some people wanted to achieve. That raises a lot. I mean, some people do it. But it's, it raises like the risks and stuff like that. Like sometimes, putting certain things, like some of the stuff had arsenic, mercury, the radium. Radium was another one. We'll get to that one. We'll discuss that one probably in another video. Because everybody was told it was safe, but another thing that, we didn't know was not safe. So, yeah. Centuries later, pale skin remained the ultimate beauty standard across much of Europe. Women used face powders containing white lead to create a flawless porcelain complexion. You guys remember, so Elizabeth I, Queen Elizabeth I, the one with the red hair, the white skin, and the long fingers. She was, I believe that she was the daughter of Anne Boleyn. She is known for her very, very pale complexion, among other things. Lead makeup hid scars and imperfections at first, but over time, it damaged the skin, caused hair loss, and weakened the body, and could lead to serious illness. So the irony of that was heartbreaking, because the very makeup that initially destroyed your skin, they continued to apply, but heavier, to cover the imperfections, creating an even more dangerous cycle. And it's like, what's making you sick is what you're using to cover it up. And it's just and then it gets into the layers of the skin because they're broken, and then it gets absorbed into the body even more. It is a vicious cycle. The Victorian era introduced one of history's most shocking beauty fads. Advertisements promoted arsenic wafers as a way to achieve pale, radiant skin. While some of the products likely contained little amounts or no arsenic at all, others contained crazy toxic ingredients that could cause severe health problems. Then those health problems range from everything from little skin damage and everything else to death, internal organ issues, poisoning. The radium would get into the bones and eat the bones from the inside. If you have ever, there's a book, it's called The Radium Girls. It's about when they would spin they would do like the watch fronts with the radium paint in World War I. So that way soldiers in Europe, it would illuminate. And yes, it would illuminate. And they were told it was safe. And they were spinning the paintbrushes to get that fine point with their tongue. And then they would paint themselves with it. Like do makeup, and then they would glow and be like, look, But then it killed them. Slow, painful deaths. And nobody cared, it seemed. And by the time the lawsuits got settled, a bunch of them were dead, and it didn't do anything. So they actually still glow in their coffins. They had to be put in lead-lined coffins, just like Marie Curie. Consumers often had no reliable way to know what they were actually buying, since safety regulations didn't exist. Now everything goes through testing, and not everything is approved by the FDA. And sometimes, we get these off-site beauty things. Some of them are knockoffs, and they're not, actually going through the testing. So, it is a little hit and miss. But, it's still more regulated than it used to be. But it's, this is we're talking things that will legit kill you. The desire for beauty made people vulnerable to dangerous claims. Everybody is, the dangerous claims. It's okay, most people would just be like, well, at least I'll be pretty in my casket. And it's because you got to think about it. Even small things, you can, in rare, crazy, situations where you get, say a small paper cut could turn into something massive. And yeah, and kind of over dramatizing some of it, but it can happen, and just imagine this stuff, and then you put mercury into it and arsenic, and it's just recipe for disaster. So few garments are misunderstood, like the corset. Modern culture often portrays corsets as an instrument of torture. The reality is more nuanced. Many corsets were worn comfortably and provided support, like they do now. However, extreme tight lacing did exist and could restrict the breathing, compressing the torso, and contribute to health problems when taken to extremes. Okay, so an example of this would be Pirates of the Caribbean. The Curse of the Black Pearl. We all remember that one. Very first one. When Elizabeth Swann is put into that beautiful, beautiful dress. But she is laced into that corset, and it is tight, tight. She can't breathe. She's restricted. She's not getting enough oxygen in. And then eventually, and then she's on in the heat on top of that, the Caribbean heat. Port Royal was very pretty, but more than likely very humid. And she's standing there with the Commodore, and she passes out, falls off the top of the fort and into the rocks in the water, which then, she's got the gold coin, which then sets off the shockwave, which then brings the Black Pearl. So that's in a case of extreme lacing. So, and a lot of people did that because they wanted that small waist, and they also wanted to bring their chest up, which it compressed all your vital organs and your lungs and your heart, so nothing could pump and work correctly, which would cut off oxygen and stuff like that. So not circulate correctly. And but now you don't see as many. I mean, they still have them where you lace them, but a lot of them are just the clasps in the back. And then of course you've got the bodysuits, the shapewear and stuff, or just the regular bodysuits, which they have that. Some of them are tight around the rib area like corsets and give that clean cinched look. So, but then some people still do the super cinch, the super tight lace right through the back, like put your foot in it and pull, in that new Sex and the City show that they did, and just like that. And Charlotte's trying to get ready for the Met Gala, and she's telling her daughters, tighter, pull it tighter. I gotta have a smaller waist. So, yeah, I like that show. Many fashion trends, the issue wasn't the garment itself. It was the pressure to push it beyond its intended purpose. History has a way of making us feel smarter than those that came before us. It's easy to wonder how anyone could willingly put poison in their eyes or cover their face with lead. But perhaps the better question is, what beauty trends today will people look back on in 200 years from now and have the same disbelief that we do with these older trends? Beauty standards change. The desire to belong does not. So, that is the end of my first video. Put in the comments anything you think that would, you think people are going to look at in, 200 years and be like, or in, later decades and be like, why did they do that? What was the purpose behind that? So, but thank you for coming to my channel. Thank you for watching, and like and subscribe. See you next time.